100 years ago, the National Football League had its first season. In the following years, the NFL fended off many rival leagues, all dissolving before creating any real problems. That is until the late 1950s when this man, Lamar Hunt, applied for an expansion team in Dallas and was denied. Hunt decided to create his own league, the American Football League. The NFL always believed that other leagues wouldn't succeed as they would only acquire second-rate talent, players that couldn't make it to the NFL. But the AFL was different. Its owners had deeper pockets and were collectively wealthier than the NFL owners. The AFL could throw just as much, if not more money, at its players. The AFL broke through with the signing of future Hall of Famer and NFL legend Joe Namath out of Alabama to a record 3-year, $427,000 contract. A few years later, they signed a 5-year, $36 million TV deal with NBC. The AFL was not going away. After several years of bidding wars to attract players from the rival league and those coming out of college, the NFL approached the AFL about a merger. As part of the merger, the two leagues, now separated into two conferences, the AFC and NFC, would compete every year in a championship called the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl has always been a popular event. Even the first few Super Bowls attracted an average of about 40 million viewers. Today, it is known as the most viewed event of the year, averaging over 100 million viewers. 3 TV networks, NBC, CBS, and Fox, pay the NFL a total of around $3 billion annually to have the rights to several NFL games, including rotating rights to the Super Bowl. The networks are likely losing money in the years they don't get the Super Bowl, but having the Super Bowl just once every 3 years makes the deal worth it. It is not often that a company can advertise to over 100 million people all at once, and the networks know this. A 30-second commercial during the Super Bowl costs around $5.2 million. That is $175,000 a second, and at 100 million viewers, that's around 19 cents per person. Last year, the average Thursday night football game was viewed by 15 million people, with 30-second ads around $500,000, which comes out to about 3 cents a view. The difference with a Super Bowl ad is that the company is betting that that ad is going to go viral and be viewed millions more times on YouTube and other social media platforms. It is interesting to note that the number of commercials has stayed relatively the same since 2003 to present day. However, the time dedicated to the commercials has risen over 25%. The Super Bowl halftime show consistently has the biggest names in music at no cost to the NFL. Artists continue to take the gig at the Super Bowl for free because of the massive exposure and to be part of the exclusive club. Consumer spending for the Super Bowl is more than the NFL's revenue for the entire year, around $15 billion. Let me say that again. The NFL, who has tens of millions of fans all around the world, makes less in revenue than consumers spend for just this one game. Karen needs her mozzarella sticks. The average consumer for the Super Bowl spends $100 in food and drinks, plus merchandise, decorations, and even travel. Domino's alone sells nearly 2 million pizzas on Super Bowl Sunday. The Super Bowl is a great way for a city to get exposure and generate local revenue, but it might not be worth the cost of admission. One way to basically guarantee the NFL to pick you to host the Super Bowl is to build a new stadium. All 7 of the NFL stadiums built in the last 12 years have already hosted a Super Bowl, but building a new stadium is becoming more expensive. The last 3 stadiums built cost an average of $1.3 billion and an average of $400 million in taxpayer money. Many economists estimate hosting a Super Bowl is somewhere between $50 to $130 million in net economic impact. In addition to these costs, the NFL has a plethora of other requirements that Super Bowl bidding cities must adhere to that are listed in a 153-page bid book. The New York Times says, the bid book shows that the host city must provide the NFL 35,000 parking spaces, thousands of hotel rooms, hundreds of buses and limos, billboards, security, food, and an exemption on paying all sales taxes, among hundreds of other specifications. The phrase "at no cost to the NFL" appears in the book 65 times. Especially when the taxpayer spend is factored in, the short-term benefit of hosting a Super Bowl is much smaller than most believe. Regardless of the viewers at this year's Super Bowl, the NFL has already made most of its money. One of the most amazing things about the Super Bowl is that it connects hundreds of millions of people all around the world for one day watching one game.